What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and welcome to Wonder Waddle Week, a continued exploration of trying to find the next Wonder Waddle now that that hero has been nerfed, and I think that Pied Piper does a pretty good job. It's also alliterative. It encourages you to pick up animals just like Wonder Waddle, and Pied Piper is, of course, extremely powerful. So a lot of similarities between these two heroes, and we're going to take a look at that in this video today. And the first similarity is glaringly obvious. We get to pick up some blind mice on Pied Piper, which is going to allow access to earlier tier 4 treasures. And I think the big thing about Pied Piper, why it has consistently been such a powerful hero, really is in that consistency. The ability to get those +1/+1 on the animals is good, but it's the fact that you're just going to see more copies of the animals that you pick up, which is going to give you an easier time to find the treasures that you're looking for. And that's also going to include tier 3 treasures and tier 4 all the way up. You can find consistent of any treasures. You can find any treasures more consistently, rather, because of the fact that you are seeing that extra animal in every single shop, and that can allow you to hunt for things like HatBall, which is what we are going to be doing in this one. We're going to be looking at HatBall games all week, of course, because that is one of the most fun things to force on Wonder Waddle. And I do get a little bit lucky finding the crystal ball in this one, but I still think that this hero does a reasonable approximation of the old Wonder Waddle in that regard. We get to pick up a stag on our 3.0 turn here, and then I also pick up Polywoggle because it's so fun to pick up Polywoggles on this hero. One thing is that I could have potentially just used the free roll and tried to roll for a tier 3 character. Could have picked up that Brave Princess. However, I really like putting Polywoggle behind a stag. That can give it a decent amount of chances to slay. And then I also just figured we can use the extra gold to roll and try to find additional copies of stag, pig, donkey, which will all be extremely powerful and allow us to potentially try to find some of those early treasures. Like I said, we are unfortunately not going to get any slays on this combat because my opponent was not playing enough units, but now we get to play a really good board. We get to pick up this blind mouse, we get to pick up a stag, and we can even pick up another Polywoggle if we sell something off, but we are definitely seeming really strong right now at this stage of the game. I'm going to go ahead and sell off that black cat, or kitty cut purse rather, which is a black cat, and then we will pick up another Polywoggle and we'll play a board like this. And then we're also picking up Gloves of Thieving, which is just a strong treasure. And I don't typically try to force HatBall on Pied Piper. Just let it come to me. So we are not going to go anything crazy for like Sky Castle or anything like that. We'll just pick up the Gloves of Thieving, which is just a strong treasure, but we are going to wind up stealing a stag from this Zippy the Zombie, and that is going to give us our first tier 3 treasure, which is going to be the HatBall for us, and then we even get some bonus gold from my opponent's prized pig. So pretty good start to the game, all things considered. We get a time flies off of our Polywoggle. That part isn't great, but I do think the crystal ball is pretty good. I could certainly see going for treasure map, but I'm not going to turn down an easy ball. It's easy enough to build around. And now we just have to find a way to grab some more gold. And I think that for that, picking up a prized pig is pretty good. I do also like the 6/6 Crafty. That is quite a large character, but basically the idea behind this is once you have Crystal Ball, you need some other way to cheat the system, whether that be just additional gold from prized pig or a way to make your spells cheaper. That is typically the more common way that you go about it. So we're just going to try to fuel this Crystal Ball by getting additional gold off of this prized pig. And that's going to work out well enough, except in this combat. We aren't going to get that prized pig gold just yet. But Now we can spend gold on spells, have our board be a little bit stronger, and start to scale things out that way. We also picked up a Spellweaver for free. I should mention as well that I am playing this game on the phone. I'm playing on the mobile client for Storybook Brawl, currently in closed beta, but I thought it would be fun to showcase here. Also to show that you can play HatBall on the mobile client. It might even be a little bit easier once you get used to the controls, because you can use multiple fingers to start casting your spells and rolling through the shops, and you don't have to drag the mouse back and forth between where the spell is and where the roll button is. You can just have one hand on the roll and one hand where the spells are going to appear, one finger at least. So yeah, that'll be interesting as that kind of evolves. So it won't be a regular thing on the channel, but I did want to showcase it and draw some attention to this because I thought it was pretty cool and figured it could be fun to take a look at for Wonder Waddle Week here. And here we have an interesting opportunity. We did get some bonus gold from our prized pig this turn. I'm going to use that bonus gold to try to find Aeon and use Masquerade Ball to try to do so. We had 3 looks at tier 5 characters. Unfortunately, no Aeon, but we do get to pick up a tier 5 treasure with our double 9 Sea Terror. So I'll take a Drax Saber from that, and that'll at least allow us to continue to be strong in all of these fights. And then kind of want to pick up some XP or something so that we can find Aeon sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, we can pick up some mages, and we can also potentially just try to make our board a little bit stronger, but picking up some mages in the meantime will also be good. And then 9 Sea Terror also opens up the opportunity to potentially True Love's Kiss and do some fun stuff with that. So looks like we are still going to be pretty good against this Trophy Hunter. They do have a Soul Tack, which snagged our Lightning Dragon, but after that, our board is looking pretty strong, especially with this newly added Drax Saber to it. Do get the opportunity to take another look for Aeon, so I'm going to go for that, but again, unfortunately, no dice as we roll with the Masquerade Ball. I'll pick up a Black Cat just because it's free. I guess we could put it in front of Sporko. There are diminishing returns on the Stag at some point as you move into the game, but for the most part, I don't know. The Black Cat with the double Sporko support is totally fine. So I will pick up the Wizard's Familiar, and then I do get the chance to pick up a Polywoggle as well, which is always something fun that you can do on Wonder Waddle and Pied Piper alike. So I'll wind up picking up that, and then I consider picking up a Lightning Dragon or a River Wish Mermaid, but ultimately I'm just going to pick up a Golden Chicken, and the main reason that I go for that, again, getting owned by a Soul Tack, a little bit unfortunate, but we do have a ton of stats regardless, and on a bunch of our ranged units in the back line, which I think is going to be enough with our Drax Saber here. Gets very, very close, but we do indeed find the win. But picking up this Golden Chicken just to save as much gold as I can, so that way I can roll for Aeon this turn. And I'm going to roll and eventually find it after picking up a Polywoggle as well. So now we've got a few different cool things that we want to do. I want to play this Aeon, and excuse me, all right, looks like my camera shut off for a second. Let me just make sure that doesn't happen again. I want to slay with both my Aeon and my Polywoggle as soon as I possibly can, and I think that, you know, I obviously want to try to make this HatBall thing work, but with Pied Piper, I'm also generally pursuing other strategies at the same time, and just think that playing the Polywoggle is fine and fun to do, and then we'll lock on to a Luna's Grace here for the next turn. But I think this game has been pretty powerful, pretty strong. We're going to potentially take some damage this combat, depends how big these Juliets wind up being. Actually looks like we will be okay with that Drax Saber. Really just a pretty dominating game. You can see it's 5.1. Most of the lobby is dead. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. This is going to play out for a little bit longer, though. We've got some strong opponents left in the lobby So we've still got some work to do. And one thing that I think I probably should have done here, I think I make some mistakes on this turn. I think I should have just bought the Baba Yaga and then had the Baba Yaga start trying to slay with Aeon, and that gives you 2 off all of your spells. I also probably should have It Was All a Dreamed on the on the Vampire. I went for the Nyan Sea Terror because it gives a little bit more health, but I think that ultimately I don't really need health right now, and keeping the Nyan Sea Terror as a target for True Love's Kisses in the future could have been a little bit better. But I'll blame all of those things on playing this game on the mobile client and being slightly distracted by all of that, and not my own fault. But yeah, definitely my own fault there. I pick up another Aeon, and then I also see a Baba Yaga in this shop, and here is where I'm going to correct my previous mistake. I'm going to pick up this Baba Yaga, and then I'm also going to sell off 2 of my characters, which are going to be the Lightning Dragon and that Polywoggle, and I'm going to pick up the Shrivel. And while I do think that Polywoggle is a ton of fun, one thing is I'm already level 6. I don't really want to waste all of this time trying to slay with this Polywoggle, because ultimately I'm probably not even going to use it. It will be an upgraded tier 6 character, but eventually my mages are just going to outpace any of that stuff. So while it was fun to explore that path for a second, I think we're back on the right path now, and just trying to get some slays with Aeon and cast a whole bunch of spells. So that's kind of the idea. We will get our Aeon, our first one Medusa'd, so we don't get both of them slaying, but even just one Aeon slaying gives us cheap spells. It gives us a hat. It gives us our spells cost 2 less now for the rest of the turn. So that should be more than enough. We'll pick up a Spellweaver triple, skipping on that, and then we are up against the Ghost. So just hunting for a few more spells to round out the turn. We could pick up Scion of the Storm here, and I think it probably would have been the right play, but I wind up skipping past it mainly just because my spells cost 2 less this turn, and I want to take advantage of that and try to cast as many spells as possible. And then I also see a bunch of Baba Yagas. I think that those are a little bit tempting, but I'm just going to wind up casting another Shrivel to end off the turn, give myself a little bit more stats, and then I'll lock onto this Mix-a-Wizzle. But if one of these Aeons can slay a second turn with HatBall online, I think it's just going to do a lot for us, and I think we're even going to get both of these Aeons to slay here up against the Ghost, which is certainly lucky enough. So now my spells cost 4 less this turn, and that's just going to allow me to cast so many spells, and we also pick up a Baba Yaga for free, which is nice. And I think I do use the opportunity to potentially pick up another Baba Yaga, but we're going to pick up another Aeon before that happens, and then I get to go Evil Eye. So now I'm making my spells cost 4 less if my Aeon slays, and like I said, I do believe that I pick up another Baba Yaga before the turn ends. Okay, I guess that's on a future turn or something. Yeah, here we pick up a Golden Chicken and a Reckless Wager to finish things off. So fair enough. I think that this is pretty good. But now when Aeon slays, my spells will cost 6 less next turn, which is going to just mean that probably don't have to pay for my spells for the rest of the game, and we can keep slaying and keep just casting a ton of them. And while this game doesn't feel that much like a Wonder Waddle game, because I think we just got pretty lucky getting the crystal ball so early, I definitely think it shows a good job of how powerful Pied Piper can be, and we wouldn't have gotten there without the consistency of Pied Piper grabbing those blind mice, which gave us the Gloves of Thieving, which gave us one of the stags that gave us the crystal ball, and then of course we get the other 2 stags just from being Pied Piper and being able to find those a little bit more consistently there. So we'll cast a few more spells here to round things out for the turn, but we're feeling pretty good at this stage of the game, right? 31 health, feeling quite strong, but the game isn't over just yet. My opponents are also pretty strong in this one, so we don't want to count them out just yet here, and then I do wind up finishing off this turn by tripling into a Baba Yaga and then casting just a few more spells. But now if we slay with this Aeon, our spells are going to cost 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. I think my spells are just free at this point. I think upgraded Baba Yaga, upgraded Aeon, and a Evil Eye. It's either like 12 or 14 less, but either way, that's every spell. So pretty good stuff there. We get pretty close to taking out the Celestial Tiger, but not quite. We still have a little bit of work to do, but before we do that, we've got to take on the Fates. So we're going to cast a few more spells here, pick up a Wizard's Familiar, and then I will feed this Lightning Dragon to the Kraken, just so that way we can keep casting spells. But when I see this Scion of the Storm, it's just way too big for me to pass up. I know that my spells are super cheap at this point, but they'll probably be pretty cheap for the rest of the game, and I want to make sure I'm casting some spells. And then it is time to dream, and we are going to dream into Potion Master. And I don't really have a huge use for Pied Piper at this point in the game, and I'd much rather see an additional spell in each of my shops than an additional animal. So this is a really nice dream, and then of course we'll get some additional stats from being able to cast a whole bunch of spells each turn. Pretty powerful board from the Fates, a bunch of trees, but we're just a little bit stronger finding that HatBall so early on into the game. And then we are going to be in the finals with this Celestial Tiger, and we'll go for a True Love's Kiss on the Wizard's Familiar. That gives us a Princess White, but we're going to keep going. We're going to see how high up the chain we can take that. We've got a free Evil Twin, nothing great to cast it on, and then we see another one and we actually don't have anything to cast it on, so a little bit awkward, and I missed the Queen's Blessing there, but we are trying to send this Shoulder Fairies all the way up the chain. Again, an Evil Twin that we can't even cast, but you can see just how much value we could have potentially had in this game. A lot of fun stuff going on there. We are going to turn our Wizard's Familiar into a Green Knight. Kind of weird, but then we are going to transform into Sad Drac. I actually like this transformation because my opponent was playing a Slay comp, so that could really come in handy. However, my opponent has found an upgraded Jormungand, and they've found a Slay in this game. So they're actually going to beat us for a combat. We're going to take 15 damage down to 17. Not the greatest thing, but I think that we are still pretty strong. Obviously, I don't have the tracker on the screen because I'm playing this on my phone. And my camera just cut off, which is unfortunate, but let me just close that here. And we'll finish off this game with no camera. We are going to wind up casting a True Love's Kiss on that Green Knight, and that is going to find us a Lightning Dragon when we are Sad Drac. And then I'm going to move some other things around, cast a Pigomorph. That seems pretty good against this Slay comp. And then I'm just going to move my ranged units a little bit further. Main thing being that I just want to attack as many times with my ranged units as possible, move my Spellweaver a little bit sooner in the combat, but I think that not trying to slay with Aeon this turn should mean that we are able to find the win, and we are. We take out both of their Jormungands. They are going to get some slays, but Aeon can clean that up, and then Scion of the Storm can battle with these Baba Yagas, and we find ourselves a win. So there you go. There is Pied Piper for Wonder Waddle Week for me. Yeah, silly game, and I thought it was fun to showcase the mobile client. I don't think that I played perfectly. I think that part of that was because I was playing on the mobile version of the game. Of course, there is no perfect play ever in Storybook Brawl, but I still thought this was a fun one to look at. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Luck's Given. Peace.